Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Feeding Curiosity. I'm your host, Eric Wenzel, as always. If you're new here, Feeding Curiosity is through conversation that we can aim to live better, either by books, tactics, routines, you name it, we try to understand it because we have to learn from each other to figure out how to best behave in the world. And with that, this conversation is with returning guest, Jordan Criss, one of my oldest and best friends. And he's been on the podcast many times, and most recently with our discussions around the Last of Us series. I thought it was time that in 2023, we should sit down and have one of our normal long-form podcasts, because this is what we do. We just riff on ideas and we pick some sort of topic to go deep on. So today in our big podcast is really around fulfillment in your life and how to unpack all of the things that happens, because reality is going to try to beat you down. What you choose to career, where you find your passions, and the shortness of life, basically focusing on the things that really matter. This topic is really near and dear to me. I find myself always coming back to these kinds of episodes to really ground myself into, what am I aiming for? And am I focusing on the wrong things, or am I putting effort on something that's not going to really, and I hate to use this logic, but the pay dividends for me in the long run. And that really means is focusing on people that matter most to me. And are my behaviors matching such that I can cultivate relationships and friendships that are the most meaningful things in my life, because I can focus and be a driven person like anybody else, but to a detriment to other things, I think. And so with that, I hope you take something away from here that you find useful. If you've read the books, or if you have any other resources that are related to what we share here, I'd really like to know. Because again, like I said, this is a really near and dear area of topics that I really like. And I always am looking for better ways to articulate these ideas or new ways to explore them. Please enjoy this conversation with Jordan Criss. Well, Jordan, welcome back to the podcast. I mean, you're a regular guest regardless, but
it's been a while since we did a one-on-one.
Yeah, we haven't really done like an interview style podcast, probably in like December or something like that was like the last time you might have been on an episode. Now that I think about it, I'd have to double check, but it's been a little while, and we constantly talk off the air, so to speak, just about either things we're watching or reading or any other ideas, a lot of which are on Instagram. And so that's kind of why we're doing this one today, because we've had so many like offline conversations, and we're like, we should probably talk about some of these ideas.
Right.
That don't pertain specifically, because for frequent recent listeners of the podcast, we've talked movies and TV shows all the time. And there's a lot more to talk about than just that.
Is there? I don't know.
I mean, we could honestly talk about movies and TV shows forever at this point because of just how much content there is out there. But
right.
We could also, take other lessons away from those things too that aren't just pertaining to to fictional or dramatized stories.
Right.
And I think the first one we'll start with today is there was a quote from Freethink, and there's probably an article to this. I'd have to pull it in the show notes for you guys, but the quote is the evidence is that about 70% of people are not engaged in what they do all day long. About 18% of people are repulsed. They're actively disengaged from what they do. And you had this really cool thought associated with it. So I just wanted to let you take it from there as like the preface.
Yeah. I forgot exactly what I said. I just remember this was like maybe even a couple months ago now when I think you posted that, and I was like, Jesus, or maybe I even shared it. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But it's just this, like, you see it everywhere, right? And I feel like it is one of those things that it's so common, but if you stop and look at it, it's like really, to me, upsetting that it's like, I don't know, it's like we're all like deterred from doing things that really fulfill us. Right. And like, it's almost, I don't know how many conversations I've had, but it's like, you get people who are like confused when you're like so focused on doing what fulfills you and makes you feel good, and like you're achieving something that you think is like your purpose, right? Maybe that's heavy, versus like doing what you're supposed to.
Yep.
And I don't know, it's a sad thing. And it's not to say I don't get it, or not to say I haven't, done that. I've worked in bars. I don't want to be a bartender. That's not my passion. You know what I'm saying? But so I get it, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's more important, at least to me, to live a life that you feel like if your life ended tomorrow, even if you didn't like achieve everything in terms of like financial success and all that stuff, but like you can look and be like, but I did what I loved, and I like followed what, you made my heart sing, which, super cliche, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a hard thing to say right now, or even in general, right? Like you hear all these stories, even people who are a little bit older than us who say, well, I wanted to do this, but then because reality happens, they have to go do the responsible thing, whatever that sounds like, to you. And I think it ends up being a lot of like cynicism with the world too, when it comes to like passions, because there's a point too where people like in most jobs, you end up getting beaten down, or you have a horrible boss, or right, whatever reason, like there's any number of reasons that you get annoyed at your day-to-day job, whatever that looks like. And so then when you, like, if you're someone who's trying to get after their life or do the thing that fulfills them, out of majority of those times, you're going to be doing that in your vocational time, when it should be like, you should be watching Netflix or doing nothing, or right. Like I remember like hearing some people talk about like, why do you work out or go to the gym? Like there's like, I think that's changed a lot now. Perception of like being healthy has changed a lot, but there was always like initially when we started getting healthy in like our early 20s, it was kind of like, oh, wow, like you spent all this time to be healthy, like you're not even competing, or like, oh, you're just gonna go eat a burger then. Like there's kind of like that. It's almost like a nagging thing, right? Like they're trying to attack you because you're doing something that's better for yourself, or that you find fulfilling. But then it's almost like they're like stabbing you in the gut because like it's almost like they're judging you, but it's more like they're judging themselves because they know they should be doing that too. Or they wish they could had the time. Like I remember people would tell me like, oh, I wish I had the, your level of focus or whatever it was. And I'm like, you could do it. Like, it's like I'm killing myself to go to the gym 5 times a week or even 3 times a week. Like you can figure it out. It's not that hard.
Right. No, that's the interesting thing. 'Cause about like fitness and health, right? And attributing it to this like fulfilling factor. When people like would or do ask me like, oh, why? I haven't had that question in so long. So this is a little like anecdotal.
Yeah, no, I had to think back too.
Yeah, like, when I would get that question, my answer was always just like, 'cause I like it. Like it really wasn't much deeper than that. Like,
yeah.
Yes, it leads to health and leads to these things, and physique and all that stuff is true, but that wouldn't matter to me as much if I hated it. But you know what I mean? Like I thoroughly enjoy it. It's like, I've said this, probably years ago on this podcast, but, it's like meditative for me. You know what I mean? It's like a way to release. I feel like when I'm working out, it feeds into my creativity. So it's like, it frees the clutter in my head just from being able to go and for an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. It's just crazy, but whatever. It just frees my mind and I'm only focused on that. And it just kind of, when I'm done, all the clutter and stuff that like doesn't matter, but just happens to us as people kind of goes away. And then that frees up my thoughts for all these other things. So it's like, my thing with fitness is like, I don't know that everyone has to go so hard, because there's a health factor, right? So everyone has to do something to maintain a level of health. You have to, right? But like what's required or whatever necessary for a person isn't that much. You don't have to put on that much time. So if that's your only focus, to say, I don't have time, you do have time to be active in terms of like just staying healthy and like making sure your body can function. You fucking 30 minutes a day, dude, and you're good.
Right. And it's not like you have to like go in there and break a bunch of PRs and like become a metalhead or whatever. Like, okay, maybe you really just like riding your bike or playing tennis, or pick the thing that is the thing you're going to stick with, right? Like you don't have to do something you absolutely fucking hate to stay in shape. Like, find the thing that you would enjoy doing, and hopefully with one other person that you enjoy hanging out with,
right.
and just make it a thing. Do it once a week. It's better than doing nothing. Like, I swear to God. And you'll feel better by doing that.
Right. And like, that's my thing. Like, I know you're a big runner now, which to me, that's crazy. I don't get that. I fucking hate it.
Me years ago would have thought I was crazy too. So we're in the same camp.
Right. It's like, I just tell people, I'm like, dude, you don't have to go run 3 miles. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You should be active though. You should do some form of cardio, but like, do what you like. Just figure out what you like and just do that. And you don't have to think about it any deeper. It's literally, to me, no deeper than that. Just, I'm like, I do what I like. I like powerlifting. I'm not the greatest powerlifter. I don't really have a desire to be. But I like when I do that and I'm lifting heavy for myself, I just like it. It's not that deep.
I think you're hitting at something that's like, I always think about this and people are going to like probably be annoyed. Like, oh, there it goes again, talking about the whole, like the microcosm of weightlifting that applies to everything in life.
Right.
Because it's like, that's like what life is in some sense. Like, we kind of contort ourselves to say, like, what should we do with our time? Or we say in quotes like, oh, well, if I do this thing that I enjoy, like playing video games or watching too much Netflix or whatever it is, like whatever the thing is that you feel like you're wasting, like me, maybe even for you, Jordan, like playing 2K, right? Like getting obsessed with a season of 2K. Yeah. Like we tell ourselves like, oh, it's wasting time because it's not productive or it's not pointing me in the direction of where I want to be in my life. Like, yeah, maybe, but like you got enough time to spend like a half hour because like, hey, maybe you just like it. Like, it's okay just to like something and get something out of it. Whatever that is.
Yeah. And like, so there's like a couple parts, but the first part is like, I feel like you can like and do whatever the fuck you want as long as it's not like at the detriment of another person or yourself. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge like caveat, right? Obviously what we're talking about isn't that. Or like, you know, when you brought up 2K, it's like, it just makes me think that it's like, I like doing that. It's a stress relief, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm stressed from like work or like, you know what I mean? It's almost the same way as weightlifting, except it doesn't have like the residual kind of, benefits. You know what I mean? Maybe in some ways you can argue that, but we don't have to like hand-eye coordination, all that stuff. But let's be real. That's not what I'm doing that for. So, let's just be real. It's literally just like a stress relief. I'm just going to do this right now and whatever. And I think that's fine. I think what happens, and I don't want to sound preachy because I do this too and I have to check myself, but you can get to the point where it's too much of that. And it's really easy to fall into that. And that's when it's like, when does that thing that makes you feel good in whatever way become like a vice or like something that you have to reel back from? And I think that's
like a point where like it becomes a procrastination, right? Like, you know, you should be doing something else, but then you're like, well, I'm going to go, you know, play around with video games, or I'm going to go read a book for a little while, or I'm just going to open up my Instagram because I know I'll have a message or something to go respond to. Or like, oh wait, did I go check my emails? Like, did I send that email that I was going to go send? Right? Like, you start using these little things to keep yourself from the things you know you want to be doing.
You're doing everything but it's like anything so important when it's like, you're supposed to be doing this and now everything is so, oh fuck, you know, I should probably do laundry right now. You should do laundry. You have something else you're supposed to do. Why is now the time that laundry is so important? Or, you know what I mean? Not that you shouldn't do your laundry, but like, yeah, now's the time. It's just those things can become that. And, you know, I'm a victim of that. I have to sometimes check, okay, I think I'm wasting, right? Which I think that there's an idea there, but it's like, I'm wasting too much time. I could be utilizing this, right? But I don't like the idea, and I've heard people say this before, where it's like, you know, I hate when men over the age of X play video games. I'm like, why? Why does that bother you? Like, what does that do for you? Like, what? Yeah. I mean, like, what does that take away from you? Nothing. Like, because they're enjoying themselves. like who? It can become an issue, but so can fucking anything can become an issue. People can work out too much. You know what I'm saying?
You could be an like we're all addicts at something, right? Like something. There's something about it that we're all addicted to, right? And this is from, I believe, Gabor Mate has said this before, and he's like a psychotherapist. And I think it's really true, right? But the problem is in society, certain addictions are like rewarded or more rewarded than others. And for some reason, video games, people just think that's a waste of time, right? But it's like, so is like being a workaholic eventually. Like if you think about it.
Right. It's like weighing like what you're sacrificing while you're doing that.
Yeah.
And then it's so like when I look at video games, it's like, okay, that can become an issue, right? We established that. But if you do it, and I'm big on moderation, that's like a huge thing for me. I think everything is fine in moderation, right? Not everything, but most things are fine in moderation. And so like, it's that idea that it's like, why are you wasting time playing video games? That's all this negative stuff. But then, like you said, everything's an addiction, but drinking is so fine. Like, it's just, yeah, we drink, we do this. And it's like, that doesn't have a benefit. It's, to me, drinking and playing video games are really, really close, but one has a very negative effect on your health if you do it. Like if you played video games and drink the same amount of time, one could have actually like disastrous effects.
Oh yeah.
The other one wouldn't. You would just be like lazy. Like you'll be fine. And so it's like this idea of just like what's deemed acceptable to want to spend your time in. And that's where it's like, you said something earlier where it's like when you're doing what you love, but then like reality happens. And it's like, I get that. But whenever I've heard that, it's like, so is it a fantasy to do what you like? If it's reality that brings you out of it, I'm like, it's still your reality, right? And I get, obviously that's not what you're saying, right? But I get what you're saying, but it's like the messaging behind that kind of like language about it. It's, oh, reality happened. So he had to stop his creative pursuits or whatever. And it's like, well, that was still a reality. Like, that was still real. That reality happened. It's just like there was a road came up that had to be addressed. I don't know.
It feels like society. It's like almost like society almost wants you to give up on it's almost like this childlike thing like that we all have, whatever that is, right? Like I'm sure if you ask most little kids what they think they're going to end up doing with their life is drastically different, unless you're one of those rare people who, is at 5, 6, 7 years old and is like, well, I'm going to be, an astronaut or whatever the hell. And they're dead set that that's the thing they're going to do. Those people are rare though. And I think the vast majority of us, it's like society ends up pulling you in some direction and you're like, well, I'm going to have to give up on that thing. And I think that's, or like you just give up on that childlike, I hate to say it because it seems so cliche because of the name of this podcast, but childlike curiosity that we all have. And it's like an unlearned or beaten out of you because of just like the routineness or the other people around you who you see them give up on themselves or whatever their dreams were. And then it just becomes this thing of like, well, by the time I'm 35, I guess this is my life now. It's, I guess the thing that I'm thinking of now that I'm saying it out loud is that scene from the opening of Incredibles where, it opens with him getting married and he's happy. And then it's like that scene where he's in the car and he gets like more and more depressed and like hunched over and like, just like, like his soul is being drained from his face because he's just being squashed into a cubicle. And I get that. You know what I mean? Like,
that's literally not his purpose. So it's like that drains people. And I hate that that's normal. I don't blame anyone for thinking that because like we all do that. We all have that to a point, right? So it's not like, oh, the society. I don't even think it's obviously a societal thing, but I wonder if it comes down to the influence of the people close to you. You know what I mean? Or not even close, but like the people who are raising you who are important to you, right?
Or just around you, right? Like even just like your bosses or teachers, whatever.
Colleagues, student, you know what I mean? Because it's like you're getting informed by people around you and they're getting informed by people around you and so on and so on. So it becomes a societal thing, but it's like everyone is so like, yeah, don't do really what makes you happy, because chances, and this is for people who have these like bigger aspirations. Some people, you know, it's not the case for everyone. Some people's aspiration might be something that's like, I want to be a police officer. And that's a little bit, not that it's the easiest thing to attain, but it's not the same as like, I want to be an artist or something like that, right? Something that's, or a doctor, something that a surgeon, something that's harder to achieve. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like being told that it's like, well, you know, just in case that doesn't happen, don't put all your eggs in that basket. And so don't put all your eggs in what makes you happy. I'm just like, that's like, why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? I don't know. It just cycles around that whole idea. And I think if you just orient yourself like that, and that's what I'm continuously trying to get to, and why that post was like, what the fuck? Like, I hate that statistic.
It's wild. I mean, 70% of people are not engaged in what they do all day. Like, what?
That's a lot, dude.
That's
so you're just
wild.
It's just idle time.
So half of us, or more than half of us, are just like, like kind of loosely paying attention.
Yeah, you checked out in your life.
Yeah.
More than half of the people are checked out. I don't know. That's sad. Like, to me, that's a sad thing to hear. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like, what are we doing wrong? Like, I remember when we were in like high school and stuff, we take those like aptitude tests of like, here's like the fields you might be predisposed to enjoying.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like, did those people actually try to go get those into those fields then? Or like, were they just off base entirely?
Right.
Or did they just not even believe it? Like, cause I feel like just a part of you too, that is like, you try to convince yourself. Maybe it's like maybe there's a portion of this that is, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like you convince yourself that you don't belong in the thing you want to be a part of, or whatever the thing is.
Yeah. Bro, imposter syndrome fucking sucks, dude. I don't know if you've ever felt that, but Jesus Christ, like when that hits in heavy, I get it. I get why like,
oh yeah,
you need to be like, fuck this. It's just so easy.
I have multiple stories on that actually. One of them was when I first started working at the lab, when I started as a student technician. I was like 19 years old in the lab, and so I'm like probably 5-6 years younger than the average person working there. And then I was working with customers who were like 25-year veteran engineers, like legit engineers, and I have 1 year of community college engineering courses. And I'm like, not even 1 year, I was like 1 semester. And I'm like, what am I doing here?
Right.
I literally dressed in like tan dress pants and a dress shirt every day for a year straight just to feel older.
Jeez.
Just to like feel like I belonged by putting on clothes that were like dressy.
And like, dude, right there, it's like, well, so at this point, you probably don't feel that anymore, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But still, like that probably took a year to go away. And then I was like, okay, I belong here. Or at least I figured it out to some degree.
Right. And the part is, some people don't. And not to their fault or anything, but
yeah.
You know, some people don't ever get out of that. They always feel like they don't belong. So they're always assimilating to what's around them. So like the tan, you know, the khakis or whatever, the tan slacks and the blue button up never goes away. And it's like you lose your individuality to the point where you don't even remember what that feels like. And that's why I'm so big to the point where it's annoying, I think, of like being like maintaining your originality and like being you and whatever you're doing, like bring yourself to it. Whatever that means. And it's hard because that imposter syndrome fucking knocks you off your ass. Like you can feel that. And then you show up to work and you're like, oh shit, I'm 19. This person has worked in this position longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, why the fuck am I here? But it's like that tiny voice, and the war on art, kind of gets around this, but it's like that voice that tells you like, well, you know, I did get hired. I do good at what I'm doing. I am supposed to be here, but it's like such a quiet voice when the loudness of like, it's still of all the doubt and stuff gets in. It's such a loud thing and it's so fucking difficult to silence it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the war and art, like, even though that book is written around like creatives and writers and stuff, I still think that book is like one of the books that almost anybody should listen to, because we all deal with it. He kind of talks about, just for people who haven't read it, but he talks about this thing called the resistance. And it's kind of like similar to what we were just talking about with the procrastination thing, where like there's this voice in your head that is always going to find reasons for you to not do the thing, or feel like you don't belong, or that what you're doing is a waste of time, or that nobody's going to read. Like if it's a creative field that you're like an artist or a writer or something, like nobody's going to care about the thing you create. And the way he kind of puts it is like, nope, like if you really want to be a thing, like even an engineer or an astronaut or a writer or a weightlifter, right? Part of it is just showing up, even when you don't feel like it. Like you just give it time, and he calls it the muse. And basically, by you filling the role of whatever the thing is that you're doing, you allow this force, he calls the muse, to speak through you, whatever that looks like. And that's how you become the thing. You just give more chances for that ideal that you're aiming for, being whatever role you feel like filling, to be expressed through you. Yeah. And I know that sounds like spiritual, but it's like, and part of like part of it almost is spiritual.
A little bit. But no, I think the spiritual components are important. Where you take that is up to like personal discretion, I think, whether it's like religion or spirituality or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a truth in it, that it's like there's something that's like pulling us that can't really be explained. And I feel like what spirituality is just a way to explain whatever that is, right? And because I think as people, humans, it's like our biggest gift is our ability to think, but that is also our
biggest downfall.
Yeah, we think ourselves in a fucking box. You know what I mean? Like you think so much, and that's why it's like sometimes like don't think, just kind of listen, just listen to what's there. And I think that's what that muse is that he's speaking on. It's like just listen to what's there, what's calling you. And most times it's right. Most times if you just listen, and the voice like, I should do this, most times it's correct. You know, it's just like usually like if you just listen enough. Like today I didn't go to the gym, right? Granted, I had a small injury with my sciatic nerve. I was telling you about this.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Sucks, but it's like I'm taking some time off and like doing like workouts to strengthen that, like just up here. But I'm not like at the gym right now. But there's a part of me that's like I can still go. There's things I can do. I can still go to the gym. I'm not fucking in a wheelchair. Like, but
you're not limping around.
Yeah, it was a slight limp, but I'm able, you know. But and I heard the voice that's like, okay, I should go to the gym, and I was like, nah, it isn't. Why? Like that was me thinking, like arguing against it, saying, nah, it does hurt though. You know what I mean? It's like all these excuses placed on top of it. And if you just stop thinking for a second, the only thing there is like, just go to the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I had like the similar like thought for myself today, because I actually woke up and everyone knows that almost every podcast I talk about my wearables. And it was like, I woke up today and my wearable was like, I came in bad recovery, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Cause yesterday I ran and stuff like you were talking about, and I was like, whoa, this is weird. I wasn't expecting that. And I was like, I kind of looked at it and I was like, I'm like, I don't trust that. I'm like, I was not expecting red today. I'm like, I went to sleep early or whatever. And I'm like, maybe I will take the day off kind of thing. And I'm like, I double checked my data and it was like, yeah, my resting heart rate was a lot higher than normal. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to, like, even though I could go run, like, I don't feel sick or anything like that. I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm just going to chill today. Like, it'll be fine. Like, one day is not going to matter. Like, I'm not sure if you feel like this, but like, as a person who is a creature of habit and routine and hates taking off days, I get on my case more when I don't do nothing, when I do nothing, than when I do something.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It sucks because it's a balance for me. And like, if I go on, let me start here. You have something informing you.
Yeah.
Say, I think I need to cheat. But you know what I mean? So it's not you just woke up and you're like, oh, my legs hurt. You know what I mean? It wasn't like just finding an excuse and feeling sorry for yourself. You have something telling you like, Brett, relax. Right.
Yeah.
Which is why I think wearables are so dope. And I need to get one for that reason, because it's good to be informed on things. Right. So there's that. But
I mean, that's honestly why I got this, because as someone who basically won't take a day off unless I'm like, I got a bone sticking on my leg and I can't walk properly or something.
Yeah.
Like that's why I did it. I'm like, I need to pay attention to my recovery, because if left to my own devices, I'm going to run myself into the ground.
Right. So thank God you got it. Right.
Yeah.
But like for me, I get like that. But the issue is, it's like, I'm really good at being like, okay, I can, I skip today. It's fine. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay. I'll go back. It's not, I don't go to the gym today. That's not meaning I'll never go again. So like, I'm okay with that. But what happens is when, say like I skip today because I'm just going to skip today for whatever reason. Then the next day, like, okay, I'm too busy. I really don't have time. Or like, it'll just be like 10 PM and my workouts are like fucking 2 hours.
Yeah. You're like, I don't want to go to sleep at midnight.
Yeah. I got to get up at 6. So it's like, it's cool. I mean, I'm like, do I want to do that? Nah, I don't know. So then like I'll skip the next day. And then the next day it's like, oh shit, I have all this stuff planned because I was initially planning to skip today. And then it's like, then one day turns into like a week really quick. Everybody's looking like, damn, when's the last time? Damn, last time I went to the gym was Tuesday. And then
you're like, how the fuck did that happen? That wasn't part of the plan.
Right. And it's like, damn. So it's like where my struggle is that I'm okay with a 1 day thing, but if that like starts turning into the habit or whatever, whether it's like I'm doing it on purpose or just like happenstance, that starts weighing on me a lot. And it gets really hard to, how do I articulate it? Like hard to climb out of that mindset where I like get in my own head. I'm like, yeah, I'm not fucking doing what I'm supposed to. And it's like beating myself up. Yep. But then as I'm beating myself up, I feel shitty. So then it's hard to like get positive to get back on the way. So it's this fucking dumb cycle. I hate that I do it.
It's this dumb cycle of negative self-talk, right? Like,
yeah, literally. But that's where the creative outlet helps. And that's why I need that, because I can process that and like channel it into something else. So I'm not just like being fucking weighted down by the negative self-talk. And so
one of the things I've actually heard recently, I've been listening to a ton of podcasts. I think you liked one of the episodes, but it's Peter Chia is going on the podcast spree right now with his new book launch. That book come out next week at the time of this recording, and he talks about this kind of negative self-talk, like, because he talks really openly about his own experiences of kind of like he actually checked himself in for workaholism, kind of like rehab, because he's like angry all the time, and kind of it's almost like anger management, but like anger management on steroids. Wow. And he basically was like, my self-talk was just awful. And it was more of like, he's such a perfectionist that if he messed up anything, he would be berating himself, like, worthless garbage. Like he never actually said what he actually said to himself, because it was so bad that he's like, I don't want to say it like on a recording. But like, it's like the long story short is that the point I'm trying to make is, if you are talking to yourself in a negative way, like, would you talk like that to someone who's your friend? Like you the best thing you can do is change your self-talk and be like,
I was like, hell yeah. And I was like,
maybe if your friend was David Goggins, but different. But like you would maybe be like critical, but then also like, all right, let's try this. Like, hey, maybe clean this up, or like, it's almost like a form check, right? Like you can be critical, but not negative.
Right.
There's two, like, it's like a different thing. It's like sounds the same to some degree, but it's like directionally, what's the emotional connection to it?
Right. Right. And I think we're all harsher on ourselves, right? Maybe not, but
I would think so. On average, I would say on average, most of us are not Gandhi-esque to ourselves.
Right. Right. Because you have expectations of yourself. And I feel like it only gets worse the older you get, because life can get on you, right? Especially if you feel like you're not where you want to be, or like where you think you should be, whatever, all that stuff, right? But I think that is a really good, I want to listen to that or read the book, either, whichever one.
Yeah. Any of the podcasts, he's been on like a couple at this point. So any of the podcasts that Peter's been on recently, he was on Tim Ferriss. I think he'll probably be going on Rogan in the next couple days here, probably. Okay. And then Rich Roll or Huberman Lab. Those are the three I've seen right now.
Yeah.
So any of those, I mean, they're well worth it. And the book is, I mean, going to be worth it in its own right. People have already said that chapter on the emotional side of things is not only incredibly transparent about someone who is a hyperachiever, but clearly had to do a lot of work for themselves, which like you never guess, right? Like when you see hyperachievers, you assume their life is great because look at they just smash everything out of their park, and it's like, like you could live forever, but if the thing that's going on inside of your head, even if it's just self-talk, like if you hate living inside your own brain, like in your own mind, it doesn't matter how long you live.
Right. And that's why it's important to pay attention to that. And I think like it sounds funny kind of, but the like words of affirmation to yourself, like self-affirming, I think people should do that. Like straight up, I talk to myself in the mirror, not every day, but I do it often. Right. And I'll keep the specifics of myself because it's like a thing for me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I wasn't going to ask you to say what.
Well, right. But it's like, it's just stuff that's like very positive, like doing the right thing, like affirming the positive thoughts because I am aware of how negative thoughts can go. Right. So it's like, it's making it a habit, even if I don't feel like saying it, if you know, whatever. Almost, it's interesting because almost the times that I feel like I don't want to, the most is when I'm like, I have to do that today. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why it's like, I don't fucking believe this, whatever. And it's like, okay, even if I don't believe it right now, like force yourself to do it because just hearing it, I don't know, like it's kind of like the placebo shit, right? But like trick yourself into a thought process if you do it long enough. I'm saying, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to get up and go do that. Okay. I feel good. Okay. I'm going to go hit the gym. Like just keep riding that wave. Okay. I'm going to hit the gym. And then it's like, after a while, you don't even realize that you were faking it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
It's almost like, it sounds funny, but like we have to prime the system, right? And the human mind is weird. Like we can pretend like you can name all the parts of the brain or whatever, but like there's still a portion of this where it doesn't, there's not like an instruction manual,
right,
so to speak. Like here are the 10 steps to be like, we wouldn't be having this conversation if you could just say like, here are the 10 steps to being creative, or here's the 10 steps to fix your imposter syndrome. Like hasn't been figured out yet.
Right.
Like here's how to fix negative self-talk. Nope. And even if like here's the other crazy thing, right? Like you're talking about these affirmations, but like even if you do this for, you know, say 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is that, and you feel good, if you don't keep up with it, say you stop doing it because like things are going fine, if you get off the habit, next thing you know, you might start sliding in some direction. And if you restart it, you might get better again, right? Like it's like these things are not just, it's like these daily routines that you almost need to keep up with. It's like eating healthy, right? Like you don't keep type 2 diabetes at bay by eating healthy for 3 months. Nope. It's eating healthy for the rest of your life most of the time.
Right.
Like, and hoping that you don't, you know, fly off the handle and have something catastrophic happen, right? But like, and that's not a sexy thing to say because people like hearing like the sexy thing, you know, you do this one thing and you'll be a millionaire.
That's, and I mean, I wish, dude, that would make shit so much easier, but
right.
like, there's this quote that I can't really remember. It's kind of like this cheeky comment about working out that's attached to this. And it's like, it's something on the lines of like the first time you work out is the last time you'll ever like how you look or something like that. That's not exactly what it says, but it's basically saying like, now that you're doing it, you'll always, you have to keep going. You know what I mean? Like, you know, especially if you're doing it for physique and stuff, it's like, now you're screwed because now you're always going to be, oh, I want to do that. And it just never ends. And again, don't get lost in that because that's not the point of it. Right. And that can lead to like body dysmorphia and things like that. So moderation. But I think the idea that you're getting at is like, it's the process of what you're doing, not really the goal. Cause some things don't really have an end to it. It's just like, this is something I'll have to work at probably forever. That negative self-talk, as much as I do these things, it's still there. Like it's never gone. Right. But it's like,
it's like turning down the volume, right? Like that's the way I think about it.
Exactly. Cause if I stop doing the positive things, that'll still be there, but then it'll just be so much louder, like you said. So when I add that into it, it, quiets it down and numbs it. Some days I'm like I could go a long period of time and not say a single negative thing, but then like one fucking reality comes in, right? You know what I mean? Like, oh fuck, now it's back. But it's just this process. And I think this is where the idea of like loving the process of what you're doing is so important. And I'm still working at that myself. Like really loving the journey of whatever it is you're doing. Like, no secret, I want to be a screenwriter. I want to be big in film. And like, you can get lost in the idea of being the next like Scorsese or something like that. But that's a long time. That's going to take a lot of things to get there. But it's like loving this in between of like this freedom that I get to create and do this stuff. And I'm not hampered by studio's ideas, and just like loving every process of the journey that you're on.
Yeah.
I
think it's, as a young person who's driven or you want to achieve something, and it's not to say fame, but you could just call it success. However you define success. And it would be great to like achieve these things like proverbially now, right? Like it would be great to achieve or accomplish those things today. But I think part of it is like when you step back and look at it, it's like the people who have achieved things or have the notoriety for having achieved something great, it's like they're older. Like it's just part of like you have to live a life before you can be recognized for the things you've accomplished, and it's like, because a lot of the people I look up to, like I just mentioned, Peter Tia, as podcasters and just intellectuals in this space, they're in like twice my age, or around that, and I'm like, okay, well, like if I keep going, if I'm by the time I'm their age and I've done this for 20 years, maybe I might have accomplished something that they like a portion of what like looks like they've accomplished, right? But it's like like we've barely scratched the surface. I've actually heard, and I actually want to hear what you say about this. I mentioned this to James when he was on the podcast. But it's this idea of like whatever you're doing, it could be a podcast, it could be art, but it's kind of like the proverbial every time you do something. So in this case, podcasting, you're laying like every podcast is a layer of paint, and you're just building that like mountain one layer at a time. So like every time you do the thing you care about doing, in your case, writing, like every time you write something, that's you painting that layer of paint to build that mountain, that living resume, so to speak, of the thing you want to be recognized for. So like if you never do the thing you really want to be doing with your life, then you're never going to have that mountain behind you that says, look I've done it. Like that's what you mean. Like the process is you doing that thing over and over and over again, thousands of times. And then by the thousandth and one time, people realize, oh shit, look at how much effort you put into that thing. It's another way of thinking about takes 10 years to make an overnight success. It's just another way of thinking about it, but I like this layer of paint idea a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, I like both of them. I like the reason the 10-year overnight success one resonated was because when I was doing music, there'd be a lot of like musicians who like all of a sudden just blow up. And they're like, oh, overnight, they got big overnight. And it's like, at a young age hearing that, it's like, damn, how do you just need one song and someone hears it and then it's good. It's like, I don't know. That person would work on this. This person would work 10 years. And finally, you just caught on now.
Yeah.
No, I get that though. That's a really good way to think about it, because it's like, I don't know, just what that does for you as a person. Not like let the goal and the end goal, leave all that out of it for now. But it's just like how we're talking about this, like negative self-talk, the imposter syndrome and stuff like that. By doing whatever that thing is, you kind of get rid of that, right? Because you feel like you said, you were working in your place for a year, and that, eventually you got to the place where you're like, no, I'm supposed to be here. You know what I mean? Like I belong here. But say you were calling off work all the time, which you're crazy. You don't call off. I don't get it, but whatever. But like, if you're calling off all the time, never showing up to work, showing up late, not like, putting your best foot forward to be successful in your position, that probably would have never went away.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would have, who knows? But like, you're not giving yourself the best chance for that to go away. So in terms of like, I want to be a writer. If I'm not writing, then fuck yeah. If I have a thought that's like, this isn't going to work for you, I have validation. Like I can validate that easily and be like, well, shit. Yeah. The last time I wrote was fucking, when was that?
Yeah, right. You just don't check yourself real quick and wreck yourself.
Yeah. And if it's like you're writing every day and you're getting ready and you're doing all these things, it's very, you can say, that's not what I'm supposed to be. And that's still, you know, something to deal with, but you can be like, well, no, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. Like I'm supposed to be here. You know what I mean? I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
you have to give yourself permission, right? Like at the very least, it's like, cause I think about that sometimes even with like podcasting stuff of like, it's almost like you almost hamstring yourself when you don't feel like you belong. Like, cause it's like you undercut what you could do because you're like, ooh, I don't want to like I don't want to like be edgy or something and like shoot myself in the foot and be stupid or whatever, right? Like you convince yourself that you like, and so you play it safe or like you don't take a chance. So you're just like, yeah, it's like that guy. I'm sure you've heard stories about this, like where someone who's like a local artist who's really good at playing music, but all they ever do is play at like the local bars, super small stage. And like maybe their friend or they have a friend of a friend who always tries to nudge them and say, hey, you should play at a bigger place because you're really good. And like they're afraid to take that step outside of that comfort zone. Yeah. And maybe that's all they need to do is just that little bit extra amount of exposure, right? But it's like taking that one step. I mean, it's not even a big step, right? It's like a step from here to there. That's all they need to do. And that's what they need to like prove to themselves, like, hey, you can be here. Like, hey, you can belong here doing that thing.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard. Like, I'm not trying to say it's easy, but like.
Well, it is. It's hard, dude. And it's like, it's so hard, but I think it's so important. When you said comfort, that really like, fuck, I feel that. Cause it's like, it's the same thing as like thinking our biggest asset and like greatest downfall at the same time. Just like comfort and this like safety in a sense is the same thing. Like we need that response so that we survived, especially like the further back in time you go, the more important that was. But then that same thing can limit you in things, right? Mm-hmm. Where you can achieve so much more or whatever, like just by taking a step out of your comfort zone. But that's that's fucking scary, dude. Like you're comfortable for a reason. And why the fuck would you want to not be like, why would you want to be like, I want to feel anxious and all this stuff? Like to do that intentionally is a scary thing. But I feel like usually on the opposite side of that comes a lot of like great things and whatever that is. Right. Yeah, and one thing that I feel that so much when I used to perform, mm-hmm. that the anxiety around performing beforehand was so fucking, dude, it was heavy. Shit. Like I would get so nervous, bro. But then like right when the set ended, I'd always be like, fuck, that was amazing. I wish I could do that again immediately. I wish I had longer. That seems so, it's like all these positive, like all the negative stuff is gone. And all you have left is just like euphoria. Right. Yeah. And so it's like, it's again, that idea, this thing in your head that it's like, I'm so nervous. Don't do it. Why do you want to be nervous? Why do that? Just don't do the show. But if I do that, then I'm going to feel like shit because I didn't do the show. But when I do the show, after I do it, I feel great that I did it. So like, which one is more important? You know what I mean? Or like to you as a person, what would you want to chase? What would you want for like your people you care about and like your loved ones? Yeah. What thing, if you can just give them a bottled up feeling, would you want to give them the shitty one or the good one? Like what's so
yeah, right. It's almost like it's that double-edged sword we've been talking about. The thinking is like we're so good at projecting ourselves into different times, right? Like either looking forward or looking backwards. But the only thing that suffers is who we are right now or what we're doing right now or the people we're around right now, right? Like we'll project ourselves and like either beat ourselves up or worry about a thing we can't change. And then we're like, oh, like, how could I be so stupid to think I could be here? Or how could like, oh, you messed up in this meeting or whatever it is, or you forgot to do something, right? Like all these reasons for you to like pull yourself from being here right now or focused on the thing you really want to be focused on or should be focused on. And you end up stealing from the only time that matters, which is right now.
Yeah. Dude, it's funny because if you think about it right now, will eventually be the past. And so if you spend time not focused, like you're just repeating a cycle. Literally, is the same. And it's like everyone I'm sure can relate to that.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's like
for sure.
in the times that it's like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this. And it's like stressing and all that stuff that's just there, just as being human and all that stuff. But then it's like, I can sit in that. And if you don't take action, then I'll be thinking about like, damn, I wish I would have done this. I'll be thinking that same thing about this time that I'm experiencing right now. So if I just let that go, and it's so much easier said than done, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, that's the key, right? And that's why I think when we're talking about this, like this idea of fulfillment, I think that's like, if you just really figure out what you love, right? I think that'll keep all of these things that we're kind of talking about in perspective, in terms of like, I really like cardio. I really like running, right? For the psychos who do. I really like running.
It's me. I'm one of them psychos now.
I don't, maybe I'll get there at one point and we'll fucking look back at this and I'll be like, dude, look at me.
I'm not going to lie. There's like a point, and especially when it comes to longer cardio that you do, like the first 30 minutes or so, it just sucks. And I'm going to be honest.
Crazy.
Like, I know. And it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. And it's like it takes me 30 minutes sometimes to be like, I'm like running weird. My stride feels off. My right foot feels like it's like there's something like a knot in there. Like, I'm like, it's like, I know it sounds insane and it's fucking stupid, but like anyone who runs a lot, it's like you just get in your own head. Like there's a point like I had like a knot in my left foot for a little while and I was like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, I'm not running right. I'm just going to go home. And then I'm like, no, let's just stretch it out real quick. Like you go through the whole cycle. And it's like, it really is like that. But then I actually heard recently too on Huberman, he talked about this, that it takes about like 30 minutes. You actually activate a pathway in your brain that is like for repetitive movement. So in your brain, it takes about 30 minutes for your body. Like if you're doing like a repetitive physical motion, like running or riding a bike, you're actually activating these pathways in your brain that turn it into something effortless. So that's why you need to do this for 30, like a longer period of time, because then it becomes more like it turns off the mental game, and then your brain just can keep your body moving without you actually putting any mental effort into doing it. And then it makes a lot of sense, right? Like if we're hunter-gatherers historically and we have to move around a whole bunch, like, yeah, of course there's going to be a point where your brain just needs to be like, all right, we're just going to be putting foot in, feet, one after another, and just have to do that. And so you can be scanning for predators or whatever other more important things to be doing than paying attention to moving. It's fascinating. I never thought about it until recently about that.
Who's the asshole who set that timer at 30 minutes? Like, bro, you could have made this shit like 2 minutes, dog. Yeah, after running my ass off. But yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, that is really interesting. That's really interesting. I've never felt that, but I'm curious. I mean, I've run before. It's not like I've never done long distance, but definitely, I think the longest I did was like 4 miles, maybe. No, 5 miles was the longest I did. I know what you mean. I think I felt that before. It's the struggle of getting there that makes it difficult. Otherwise, everyone would do it. So I get it, and it's rewarding for that reason. So I'm joking when I'm shitting on it. I get it 100%.
It's just easy to shit on it because our modern society is so far removed from moving that much, or for that sustained amount of exertion, I should say.
Yeah, it's not easy, dude. That's hard. Like that's hard. I mean, in 30 minutes, where you're getting close to 3 miles at like a decent pace.
If you're running like 10-minute pace, it's it's not a short distance, right?
But it's like, that's an interesting thing to strive for that, to like, just work yourself, see if you can get to that point where it becomes automatic. And I think that's what we're talking about, right? Like about this whole thing, like do the process, keep doing it. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck, all that stuff. But like eventually
you're going to want to quit, right? Like,
like all that. So I feel like running is really therapeutic, or like a very good practice to have that can be applied in so many different ways. Cause like this sucks, man. Like you can't breathe, your chest hurts, your knee, whatever, all that stuff. But keep pushing through it until you get the runner's high, right? I don't know if that's the same thing, but like whatever that is. And it's like, I feel like people who love running do it for that.
I can see that. Yeah. I mean, there's been points too, like even for me, even though I've only been really running since the start of the year now. So like almost 3 months total, like consistently. And that's like 80% of my workouts at this point. There's been points where like my like stride will just flow and it like clicks where I'm just like, it's like I'm not like I can think about how I'm running, like my feet are hitting the ground or whatever, but like it's like flowy, if that makes sense. It's like it's almost like a flow state, but like it's not the same as like a creative flow state.
Yeah.
And I'll like drop into it for maybe like 10 minutes or something, or like usually like the end of my run. I'm like, man, this is like the easiest section of the whole thing. And then at some point, like you like hit a curb or you get too tired and you're like, I'm out of it. And like, and then you're like, well, hopefully I get that next time. And it like maybe happens like 1 out of every, I don't know, 10 runs for me at least. And I'm like, I would love to be able to bottle that up and be like, okay, let's figure like, how do I get to that every time?
Right. Monetize it or something.
Yeah, right. If I could have a supplement of just that, just for me, great. I would be awesome.
Man. But it's, I mean, yeah, it's just like, it's very, I'm trying to articulate what I'm trying to say here. Like this whole, I think it's this really interesting thing that it's like, again, when I was saying how it's a sad thing, that it's like, I feel bad for people who've like came and went in this kind of cycle of like, they got beaten down by reality. And so they're like checked out of, you know what I mean? Like say this stuff starts around like mid-20s, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, they get to 80. So 6 years of their life, that's way more than half of your life, right? That you're really checked out on. And I'm just like, that is really sad that number is as high as it is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And it's like, I don't want, like, we're getting older, right? So it's like, I'm thinking like, you know, I do want kids. So like that soon, you know what I mean? Like it's sooner than later. I don't want to be too old before that comes out. Like a family and stuff. So it's like, when I saw that and when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking more like, I don't want that for my family. You know what I mean? As much as I don't want that for me either, but it's like, I'm more like, I don't want that for the people I care about. Right. I want them to live the life and be like, I was so present and I was there and everything I was doing is like, I just felt all that stuff is like, we each, everyone as people deserve that. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't. But it's like, it's like, it's no one's fault, right? It's just like the world we live in right now where it's like, there's going to be some people who don't get awarded that for whatever fucking reason. It's like, that sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think the way that individually we can kind of combat that number, that statistic or whatever, that 70% is like at a young age, do what you fucking love. And that sounds so like
cliche.
Like it's like, and I really don't mean it to be, but it's just like, I think that's so important that I think you almost need to be preachy about it and just cliche and just say it like as corny as it sounds. But it's like, there is an importance in that. And it's not just like, do what you love, your passion, be not like that, but it's just like, what is good for you and what do you also like? Like, you don't have to be a fucking vegan to eat healthy. It's right. But like, and then do that. You don't have to be miserable to be happy because you see what I'm saying? I fucking hate vegan. Okay, then why are you a vegan?
Clearly we have other reasons, like other things to unpack here. Like, I always think about it this way. It's like, whatever it is, the thing that like you find fulfillment in, like maybe it doesn't need to be the thing that makes you a living, right? I think of that sometimes, but it's like, you know, say it's something that you enjoy doing. Okay. It's like, well, what's the smallest possible step you can take? Because obviously if like you're trying to pivot or you're trying to keep a dream alive, whatever it is, but you got to feed the fire, like whatever that looks like. And so, okay, take the smallest step. So like, if you want to be something, okay, then do it. Like, I don't know, use the internet to find a group of people that helps you fulfill those things. Or like, if you have friends who are going to be negative about the things you enjoy, either one, don't bring it up around those people, or two, find new people that are like, give a shit about the things you care about. Like,
yeah,
like, I know that's a hard thing to do, but like, that happens. Like, especially I've heard even on this podcast, people have told me stories about people who give up drinking because they wanted to do more things with their time. And they're like, their friends talk shit to them. Like, oh, what, you too good for us now because you drink or don't want to drink? It's like, no, not necessarily. Like, just because I don't drink doesn't mean anything about you. Like, I can still be around you and have just as much fun. Just the fact that I don't have a beer in my hand doesn't dictate any value.
Right.
That's a stupid example, but I think it's an example they get in people's heads. And it's like, just because you enjoy a thing, right? Like, if you like talking about writing or whatever it is, the other thing too is like, how many different careers are there for people? Like, we've named not even 1% of possible careers in this conversation. So it's like, all the imposter syndrome aside, like at the individual level, but like if you blow that up, there is room for everybody to do the thing they want to do, because there are so many damn careers in the world. Like, it's wild. If you really want to think, like, just go like on one of those like job posting sites and just type in the thing you'd want to do and just see how many jobs pop up. I'm sure it's going to be in the thousands, especially even as like you're near a major city or whatever nearest major city you're near, easily in the thousands. Unless it's something hyper specific, but still, like,
yeah. Oh, I mean, you can pivot, and when you were bringing that up, I was wondering if this idea that like something you're passionate about has to be what makes you money. I wonder if that feeds into this, because it's like I like art, or I like sports, whatever, but I'm not getting paid from it. So then you have this unfulfillment. But it's like you don't have to adhere financial success to fulfillment. I think those are kind of two separate things, right? Yeah. Sometimes they align, and that's fine, but I don't think that it has to be that way. So when you mentioned pivoting, I think that's really important, where it's like, say you do have this career goal in mind, but maybe just sometimes shit doesn't work the way you think it's going to work. Usually that's how stuff plans out. Very rarely someone like, this is exactly how it's going to happen, and then it happens like that. I don't know if that's happened for anyone. Right, like
I think that's a thing called life, where it never goes to a plan.
Where you have to be able to pivot. And so there's going to be jobs. Say you want to be, say you're like, I love writing, right? Like for myself, I love writing. I want to work in film, but I love writing. So I can still work on film stuff, but if I can get a job where I'm still writing, that's cool. That's still, you know what I mean? It's still getting me to where I want to go, right? So in terms of financial thing, there's that. But then it's also like, there's things I love that I have no desire to get paid for. Would that be sick? If that was the case, fuck yeah. Like, I love sports. If I can get paid to do whatever in sports, I'm not gonna, like, if someone offered me that, I wouldn't be like, nah.
Sure, you could be a sports writer.
Exactly. Right. So that's where you can pivot if that's what you want to do. And hell but it's like, my love for football or basketball or whatever, it's not adhered to like a financial identity either. Like, I'm never going to, I mean, I do pretty well in fantasy football, you know what I'm saying? But outside of that, I'm not going to make $1 off the NFL. Like, that's just not my path. And like, but I do love Sunday to watch football. That's like a thing. It's my thing. I usually will write while I'm watching. I have my, like, the phone or whatever up while I'm watching it. It's like, I love doing it. So I'm going to always do that. Yeah. Period. I'll never get paid from that. That's fine. I don't have to. But,
and I think that's an important thing to say. Just in general, like a lot of the people I listen to talk about parenting as being something that they find super fulfilling. And let's not kid ourselves. It's not like parenting is always sunshine and roses. Let's be real. But like more often than not, do I hear people say like, it's the, like, identifying as a parent is one of the most fulfilling things they do in their life. And it's like, you know, like, clearly that is not something that gets you a monetary gain. Like, like, it just comes with the territory. But still, like, there's a lot of these things, and I think about this a lot, just like, you know, just, what is it? It's like, there's this obsession in either as young people or driven people where it's like everything you do has to be like directly correlated with a goal that is like, if you do like, you see all these hacky things on like Instagram or whatever, it's like, do these 10 things and you'll make $1 million, or you'll gain followers to make money or become an influencer, whatever the hell. What clickbait, insert clickbait here, right? fucking annoys me because it's like, God, like, yeah, that's fine if that's like what you want to gamify, but like, I am not a big fan of gamifying life. Like there's a point you can take it to like make habits, make your like smooth out your idiosyncrasies, whatever it looks like to kind of keep your own worst behaviors at bay, whatever that looks like. But I think there's a certain point where you have to kind of like throw it out the window, similar to like what you said about moderation, where it's like you can shoot yourself in the foot because it's like, oh, well, if I do this, I'm not furthering my goals, like by hanging out with friends or people you care about in your life or doing activities that might be like seem ridiculously expensive or unachievable. It's like the shortness of life, so to speak. Like, in the one podcast I shared to you, the author is Die with Zero from Bill Perkins. And he basically talked about it as like, you need to live your life, not for some imagined future when you're, you got whatever X amount of dollars in the bank and you can go, you're 60 years old and you're going on all these cruises or travel Europe now, because he's like, there's a point where that you'll get maximum enjoyment out of a thing when you, at a certain age, when you're able-bodied to enjoy those things. And I think that is something that is really understated. Like we defer gratification too much, right? Like there's a double-edged sword again. Like we're talking, I mean, there's so much nuance in all of this. But like the author, he talked about it where he said he was like in Hawaii and he was like surfing. I think it was like for a wedding party or something like that, or hanging out with friends on a vacation. And he's like in his 50s or something. He's like, yeah, I know that I have a problem with my back and I might need to go get surgery. And he's like, I could have said no, just knowing that I might fuck up my back. I mean, I think this is probably pretty pertinent to you with your sciatic nerve pain you mentioned. And he's like, well, you know what? I just did it. Like, if this is the last time I ever surfed, then cool. I'm glad I did it because odds are it probably is. And he's like, at least I did it now and got my last enjoyable experience than being able to be like, damn, I never got to do that. Right? Because how many people live their life because they have maybe not regret per se, but they live their life with this thing of like, damn, I didn't go all in on myself or go all in with the people around me because now I can't have, like, I don't have those memories, right? Like, and it's like those memories are what matter more than how many zeros you have in your bank account or how many things. Like, you're not going to remember the fact that you didn't do something, right? Like you said, you went and performed on stage. Like, you'd be disappointed that you didn't go on stage, but now you have more memories about being on stage and you can say you did it and you don't have to live with the fact that you never did.
Exactly. And like, say it went terribly. Say it was embarrassing. I bombed, whatever. Yeah. That would suck in the moment, but you get over it. And then you probably laugh about it.
Don't you, like, that's the thing that's funny to me is like, you're going to suck the first time you do everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Bro. I ever performed was so cringy, bro. I was just like, it was the first time I didn't have any real practice. I just went up there. I had some songs that probably, if I look at it today, were awful.
Yeah, you probably hate them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't even have access to them anymore. I don't fucking even know what they would have been. But dude, it's like super, just like way too hype and just like fucking way too much energy for these songs that did not deserve that kind of way emotional fucking bandwidth. It was just like weird, but it was fun. And like, if I didn't do it that time, I wouldn't have got to the point like being more comfortable and being able to play with like when to turn it up and like pull it back and stuff. And this is not to say I was the best performer ever. I'm not. It was far from it, but I got better. And the journey in that and getting better, I actually love doing it.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, though. I just maybe.
No, you're good. I mean, I think that's like the perfect way to explain it, though, because it's like, I think about people who always say like, it's like, well, I'm not good, right? Like when you see someone who is like doing art or doing music are like the easy examples, and it's like, well, why don't you like put that online or something? And then they immediately say, nah, I'm like, I'm not good. And like, I've always had this point of like, I mean, it's really why I started writing, even for the Feeding Curiosity and whatnot. It wasn't to think that I was like special and gifted as a writer. It was more of that if I want to be better at this thing that is writing, I need to do two things. I need to write, but it can't be just for me, because if I don't put it out in the world, nobody is like, I'm not going to get real time feedback to call out And not only that, but to track my progress in real time. Like it's only through the like taking like stock of then and now, right? And it's like, it's kind of like, this is the positive version of reflecting instead of using it as an anxiety provoking way or like beating yourself up for things you didn't do.
Mhm.
The only way you can see your growth is by like having timestamps and say, oh, look it, here's when I like the first thing I ever wrote and here's where I am today. And you should hope to say what you just said about your music career is like the things I wrote then sucked. You should never be able to say that the things you wrote then is better than what you're doing now. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. You should always be growing and getting better. Like it's the process of doing it. Right. And
yeah,
people start like, I still write music like a lot, you know what I mean? One of these days I'm going to drop a banger and it's going to come out of nowhere. One of these days, but it's just like, that's not the, like what I'm looking for. I'm, again, pivoted. But it's like the continuously doing something, right? And getting better at it. And of course, you're going to look back and be like, wow, the fact that I kept going, I got so much better at this. But like, if I would have never started, I would have never got to this point. And then if I would have stopped at that point,
right,
I would have still never got to this point. Cause you look at, oh, this sucks, right? All that stuff is there. But I do think that, again, and this is where my mind's been recently, of like really just trying to love the now and like the process and everything, and just be like, not even think about an end goal, like kind of remove that. Like I have this idea of where I want to be in 20 years, 10 years, whatever, 5 years, all that. But I'm almost trying to like not even think about that.
Yeah.
In a way, and just be so much like, this is what I can do today. Okay. This is what I can do tomorrow. Now you need a little bit of plan. You can't just be all like that because there's shit. You got to plan for stuff, right?
There is some planning, but like, yeah.
It's like almost having a hard reset to unmarry of like these lofty expectations that might set you up for disappointment. And just being like, whatever it looked like, it'll look like, but like I can enjoy what's happening in front of me right now.
Yeah. It reminds me of a quote. I forget who it is. I'll look it up in a second here, but it's do what you can with where you're at right now.
Yeah.
And it's basically, you just revise that over time because it's like, and I do want to caveat what I said of like, you should always be growing. And it's not to say, going back to like running as the example, it's not to say that sure, things might happen. Like you fall out of practice and you can't run as far or as fast as you could before, or you get injured, God forbid. Right? That's just reality of things. Things atrophy, you fall out of habit, whatever it is. But the point is that even though you might stop doing a thing, like the actual like competing portion of it, you'll still pick up things that you didn't know even a couple of months from now about the things you continually do in your life. That could be your own habits, your own routines. It could be the technical things about like, what do you like to eat? Because that's going to change. And the things that help you perform better. Or the like, oh, hey, wait. Or maybe you're getting lazy and you're eating shit that you shouldn't be eating and you know that it makes you feel like shit, but then you eat it anyways. Like, stuff like that. It's like this process of like understanding what works best for you. And it just never stops. Effectively. It's like you're constantly tweaking it and being like, okay, well, what's the best formula that works for me? And that's why this is so hard. And like so many people look for this, like, well, what's optimal? Like, what are the 5 things I should do? And it's like, no, like if I just give you the prescriptive, like do these 10 things, the odds you're going to follow through with that, like stick with it for any period of time, it's not going to, because what actually needs to happen, and this is why we can't talk in any specifics, all we can do is talk about what works for us, is that you need to figure out where things slot into your life. Because the fact that I like to work out after I go to, like after work day's over at like 4:30, 5 o'clock might not work for you for many different factors. Or you're just too fucking tired after your work day, or you're just too busy because you have other shit going on in your life. Fair enough. And so it's like, all you could do is hear some of these ideas and then figure out how to slot it in the giant, the giant Lego block that is your life.
Yeah, dude. I mean, cause it's hard. Like life is difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's
like
a lot of moving pieces.
Right. And dude, the feeling that it's like how we're talking about this stuff, and we're basically saying that never ends. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes it difficult and scary, and why, I mean, I've done it too. Sometimes I don't know specifically what, but you kind of look for like quick ways to figure something out so you don't have to deal with it anymore. That's normal. Like I do that all the time. I don't want to fucking think about this anymore. Just, you know, I just want to make that automatic, you know, maybe it'll take 30 minutes, whatever. Get to that point. And so if someone comes up with like, here's 10 steps to turn belly fat. Like, you know, it's so easy to be like, let me just click, let me see what this is.
Like maybe this one will have the right answer.
90% of the time it's just clickbait shit where they say like, there is no 10 quick tips. It's just, you have to do this. It's the same shit you already know that you got to do. Got to eat better. You got to work out. Like, you see what I mean? There's no 10 quick tips to that. But you don't want to hear that. You want there to be 10 quick tips. Like that's what you want to have.
I actually heard the summarization of like how to stay healthy from like a nutrition standpoint. And it's like, don't eat too much, don't eat too little, and then eat a variety of food sources.
Yeah.
That's never going to be a clickbait thing.
Yeah. It's like
it's never going to work. People are like, well, no fucking shit.
Yeah. Make it easier.
And maybe eat more protein, whatever that looks like to you.
Right. And that's why it's like, dude, just what do you like? Let's start here. What do you like eating? Like, let's just start there. I like pizza. Okay, cool. What else? Can't just be, you know, pizza too heavy, but like, what, you know, you get down to it. And then you'll get to something where it's like, okay. And I'm only saying this because this is literally what I had to do with myself, right? To eat healthy. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big vegetable person. I just fuck that. Like broccoli, fuck broccoli, bro. It's like straight up. I know I sound like that Arnold video, but like honestly, fuck broccoli. It's so disgusting. It's a little nasty tree. Fuck it. But like
mini tree boy.
Yeah, dude, it's just not delicious. Like you're never gonna lie to me to tell me broccoli. You like broccoli? No, you're fucking. That's Stockholm syndrome. You don't actually like it. Right. Anyway, outside of that, but like I figured out what I do like, and so like I like greens, I like spinach, I like sweet nut, whatever. Go down the list. And I'm like, okay, all of those things are healthy. Incorporate that. I don't have to eat broccoli just because when you like listen to these people, I say like, oh, dude, I eat chicken breast and broccoli and this stuff. That's like, I don't fucking like that. So that's not a realistic like process for me to go down that route because I'm going to fall out. I'm going to fall. Like I can do it for a week. And the second someone mentions a slice of pepperoni, I'm fucked. It's like, I'm gone. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that. I want that. Right. But if you're
like, yo, pizza, let's get it. All of it right now.
Yeah. And what's not to say you can't eat junk food every now and then. Again, moderation. So that's not the connection I'm trying to make. But in terms of if I know what I do like, it makes it easier that I can crave those things. And so when someone's like, do you want pizza? And I'm like, nah, dude, I got this really good meal. And like the one I just sent, the recipe I just sent you today. Like, if someone came up to me and was like, let's go get this fire burger. I'm going to be real. I'd probably be like, all right, what's up with it? Be honest. But I'm just saying like, it's easier for me to say like, no, I got this meal I just cooked. It's really good. Like I'm actually craving it.
Right.
Like it's good. And so it's like, you're enjoying that. So fulfillment might be like a strong word, but it's like, I'm feeding, no pun intended, but feeding things within myself that I enjoy doing. So I'm making it easier in that sense, but it's not a 10-step quick process to health. It's just, you know what I mean?
I mean, I always think about this in like it's path of least resistance, right? And it's like the more feedback loops you can create for yourself, and it's like, it's coupled with fulfillment, but it's also like the more things you can create, it's like a flywheel, right? For you to be the version of yourself that you want to be. We don't think about this too much where we kind of like to make friction for ourselves or we create these psychological walls, right? Like if you pay attention to language about, especially like food, I think food is one of these ones where it's like, oh, well, I can't eat that, right? I'm sure you remember hearing this when you were training people and stuff like that. And that's really dangerous because what basically is going to happen is a lot of times you'll see people where they say they can't eat a thing or they create boundaries around what's good and bad. And that makes it so that basically something will happen in your life where you're off. It could be sleeping, like you have a shitty day of sleep, or you party for some reason, or you have a bad day at work. And then you're going to be like, fuck it. I'm going to go, go to the naughty list, so to speak, and fly off the handle. And basically what that does is you start then creating that negative feedback loop all over again that allows you to feel bad for yourself because you've created this thing of like, well, today's a shitty day. I'm going to go do the things I shouldn't be doing. And then you do it. And now you've basically just checked out today and say, today is trash. Right. And then that makes tomorrow like even more likely for you to follow through with feeling like trash because now you can think about yesterday because there's actually a psychological principle about this, basically that the preceding 24 hours feeds into like your mental state, feeds into the next 24 hours. So this kind of goes into like Sunday into Monday kind of thing, like why Sunday scaries equals bad Mondays for a lot of people. Because if you do things on Sunday that kind of set up your mindset to have a bad day there, then if your mental state is some total negative, then going into Monday, it's going to be negative again, or more likely to remain negative. And then, that just keeps bouncing from day to day to day. And you just keep repeating the cycle of bad days because you're not doing things that help you feel like you're getting the most out of your day, that you feel like you've accomplished things that you're happy with. And so the thing is that you need to figure out how to make it so that your days feel like they're in line with what you want to be. And it's not even just like, I'm not talking about like, you have to feel like you're Jesus on top of the world or whatever the fuck. Like, it just like, do something that makes you happy. Like, it could be as simple as like, I really like waking up a little bit early with the sunrise, and maybe I have a book and I drink coffee. And you do that for 15 minutes or whatever it takes. And then maybe you walk or something simple. Doesn't need to be like you're going to go do a David Goggins self-imposed marathon and run all day. Like, that doesn't mean, that's not what I mean by fulfillment here. What I mean is like, how do you set yourself up so that you can take each thing in your day that leads into tomorrow so that you feel like you've accomplished as much as you possibly can?
Right. And that's fucking interesting because one, I think that explains hump day and Wednesday because it's like that little spark. So then by the time Friday comes around, now you're excited. Obviously, when you're not working and stuff like that, but that makes so much sense. And it's what you're saying, like, maybe it's getting up early, maybe it's doing this, but it's like what I've been focused, and let me start this, but it's hard to do these things like when it's like, I know I would like this, or maybe I don't know if I like it, but I feel like something's there. I want to try it. It's so much easier to do the opposite of that and be like, well, I'm not going to get up early. I'm going to whatever. Right. It's so much easier, which sucks, but it's so much easier to do like the wrong thing or maybe not right or wrong, but you know what I'm trying to say. And like for me, for example, right, I've been trying to get on this kick of like getting up early, driving to the beach, and reading with the sunrise. I've been trying to do that for so long, but this is what this would have to be, right? I'd have to get up at probably like realistically like 5. If we're being real, I have to check what time the sunrise is too, but let's say the sunrise is at 6:38. I'd have to realistically get up at 5, do all the stuff I have to do to get ready, leave here by like 5:45 to make it to the beach in time to get to the water, set up, and then watch the sunrise. That's hard. That's a harder thing to do than just be like, I'm gonna just wake up when I wake up, like normally. But I understand that the reward, if I did that and made that a habit, oh dude, my days would, oh man, I can just say, I can sit here and honestly say like, I think I would have great days if I did that. So yeah, I mean, I think that's 100% right. It's like doing these little things, and they don't have to be the same thing every day, but just doing little things to get you excited for every day.
So what we're saying is like creating this habit so that you can like enjoy going to the beach, right? Like instead of like your habit being like almost like a friction, to enjoy it. And I think we do this to ourselves. It kind of goes back to the very beginning of this, right? Like of the higher level fulfillment thing, where it's not about maybe picking the one thing, right? Like thing that you feel like is like your calling in life, right? But it's more of like, okay, can you say that the majority of your days in a week per se, like we cut this down to the smallest, not even, maybe this like the most amount of hours or even going smaller is like, can you say there's something that you got fulfillment in a single day? And can you call it a win? Like, what's the smallest possible win you can give yourself to enjoy your time, your like whatever a day is, because that just feedback, it creates that feedback loop into the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
And trying to do that as often as possible.
Yeah. And you saying that made me think of it like this, like thinking of it from like almost like a bottom up thought process, where it's like, you don't have to look at the biggest thing, like what's my purpose in life? Dope. But like, that's a crazy ass question. You know what I mean? But like, if you just
for
bottom that, it's like, I think if you can break it up in 3 categories, and I'm saying this because I'm going to practice this the rest of this week and see how it goes. I'll report back.
Hell yeah, let's go.
What I'm thinking is like, if you break up not even individual tasks, but just like do 3 things that fall into these categories. So the first one is do something that you like to do that has no other consequence. It's just you like doing it, whether it's playing a video game for 2 hours, whatever that is. Just have something in the day that you do that. The next thing is do something that is also good for you. So like health wise, right? Like eat a healthy meal, work out or something like that, but that you also enjoy doing. So if that's running, if that's working out, if that's yoga, whatever that is, but do something like that. And then the third thing would be something that you may not want to do necessarily, but will be good for you. So I can relate that to like the anxiety before a performance. That's in that moment, I don't want to perform. I'm fucking like, I want to do anything but this. You know what I mean? And every day, I wonder if you do everything like that. Cause then this one on the far end, you're doing something that's good for you, but you don't want to, is pushing you to not be comfortable, but to still keep going forward in that process. The next one is like a little bit of both, right? You still enjoy it, but it has that residual positive effect. And then the last one is like, dude, reward yourself for those things.
Yeah. I think if that doesn't help you either, like push toward more fulfillment, or at the very least pushing you out of your comfort zone that directly counteract the imposter syndrome stuff too. You think about it, because what is imposter syndrome? It's a belief that you aren't capable of what you think what you're selected to be capable for, right? Your skills aren't like you're too far outside of your comfort zone, I guess is the way to think about it. And this is a way of like, how do you break that into smaller steps so that you can continue to say, like, build confidence in yourself to say, no, I am capable of things I didn't think I could do. Right. I don't know. That's cool. That'll be cool to see what happens. And you could do an super easy spreadsheet on like, just have those 3 days or 3 things, and then just kind of start tallying off like every day that you do those things, and just see like, okay, for every time I've done it, like, do I feel different? I've done this for a month. What happened? Like, and then maybe do like a little journal about it, like, and just see how your mental, like your headspace changes in time in relation to pushing yourself that way.
Yeah. No, I'm glad we had this talk. I feel like as preachy as like it might have sounded, this is for me. No, it's interesting. I'm working on this shit too. So it's like, I'm glad we had this talk, because like just talking through it made me say, like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Let's see how that works. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. I'll make the spreadsheet. And then maybe the next podcast we can start and like reflect on how something like that. Yeah.
I'm super down with that. I mean, that's why I wanted to talk about this stuff, because it's all these things that are like thoughts about, I just turned 32. So it's like, I've been just thinking about like, okay, like what do I want the next decade to be? Like, that's really what it comes down to. And it's like, the only way the next decade is better than the last decade is if you get honest about the things that you've fallen short about, or the things, and maybe not even falling short might be too hard, but like, just like, okay, like where I'm at right now, what do I think I need to be working on that will put me in what feels like the best position for myself, and a lot of it is really, for people who probably listen to me, I love longevity stuff, but it's like, if you don't feel good, like what's going on in here, like your own thoughts and the own conversation, and then how that reflects on the people around you, like if you're taking out your shit on other people around you, like it doesn't matter if you live to 120 or whatever. Like if you're horrible to be around, not only with yourself, but other people, like you got work to do. I don't mean to be preachy, and it's not to say that I'm a saint either, but like it's one of these, I got just think it's really important. And it's like, okay, well, I'm glad I'm 30 now. And I don't want to be like 45 and be like a menace, and be like, oh my God, I've spent half of my life, like if I live to 100, I spent half of my life living this way. And like, Jesus, and now I've done irreversible damage to people around me because I'm horrible and I didn't even want to realize it. It's stuff like that I think about a lot. And it's like, okay, like you need to be just conscious. Like you got to be conscious and put effort in to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward.
Yeah. 100%, man. I mean, 100%. We're at that point. It's a pivotal point. 10 years from now, 15. The fact that you just said 45, that's like 15 years from now. In 15 years, that's like half life. What the fuck? Wait, this man put it like that. I was like, oh, damn. It's like shit, bro.
I didn't mean to be like crazy, but like, yeah, I mean, realistically, like.
No, I mean, that's straight up. So like and I feel like this goes for anyone at any time. There's no better time than now. If you like want to, and again, it sounds so preachy, but I feel like it's not, because I feel like we're working things out that we're also working through. So it's like, it's not like everyone do this and we have it figured out. It's like, no, this is what, personally, when we have this conversation, I've been so fixated on like, how do I get to this point where it's like, I'm pushing myself, but I'm not beating myself up for pushing myself. And I feel good about what I'm doing. Like, I want to enjoy this time and not be like, fuck, I haven't made $1 million yet. I fucking suck. Like, I don't want to feel like that.
You're like, I should be driving a Lambo or wearing that Gucci suit.
Yeah. I still want that.
Hey, if that's your goal, I'm not going to say don't get the Gucci suit and the Lambo, but like,
I want all that. I mean, I guess I want financial freedom more than this. Yeah. But like, if that financial freedom allows me to get a Gucci suit, fuck it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Hell yeah.
If you're going to ball out and be like, hey, I got an extra.
Hey, bro. I want to be. I want it. I want it.
Hey, no shame. You can have whatever you want to have. We live in a modern society where you can have just about anything you want.
Exactly.
So it's just a matter of being smart and putting in the work. I think that's the other part of this. It's like, it's the idea of like the sunk cost of like, well, I should just give up because it had like good thing hasn't happened now. It goes back to that idea of painting, the mountain is created one layer at a time. It really, it's like, it's the lifetime. It's like, hey, you've spent your life focusing on this category, whatever it looks like. And that for some people, it might not be a thing that is like an outward facing product, like music, art, writing, whatever. And that's fine. I think, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people or a lot of worlds would be better off if people spent more time focusing on the people that were closest to them, family, friends, and etc. Or community, right? Like maybe you're not super close with family or whatever, but like if you have a club that you love to go to with like a community event of some kind, I think that's totally reasonable goal for other people. And I think that is a way forward with the future that needs people to be connected. I think we feel like it's like a paradox, and this is probably for a future conversation, but like the paradox of the online world is that we are probably more like, we feel more disconnected than we've ever been, even though we're more connected than we've ever been. But it's like, it's almost like this weird juxtaposition of the screens. Like we've somehow take three-dimensional people and squash them into 2 dimensions. Yeah. And like, yeah, I think you're feeling that by saying like, hey, we're being preachy. But I think what we're trying to do here is be like real, like authentic. Like, hey, we're just average people who are, I mean, technically adults, but like at the same time, we've come up in this world that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a book by David Brooks called The Road to Character. Highly recommended to most people. But he makes a split in the book, and it's the entire premise of it. And it's basically, we set up most of our life thinking about resume values. But in reality, what we should really be aiming for is eulogy values. The things that your friends and your family are going to be remembering you for, and that they're going to say about you when you're gone, or like close to being gone. And like, those are the things that people remember. It's like, oh, hey, like what was the character of my grandfather or my father when they were around me? And like, what do I remember them for? Or like, hey, this is my best friend and this is what I remember them for. And so not to be dark, but what do you want to be remembered for? Legitimately. And if you can think of like 5 or 10 different things that you really want to be remembered for, and you're not trying to live those principles today, you might want to start. And I don't want to be preachy, but I live by that. Like I try to like who I am here talking like this is how I would talk to anybody.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's 100%. I'm going to check that out.
I love that book. It's great.
That's an awesome way to look at it. And it's, I think that's important. That's more important, but it's easy to lose sight of. So I don't, I'm not lost on that with people. It's so easy to get fixated on these external monetary kind of things. But that thing right there, that little, you put that up somewhere, it can ground you. You know what I'm saying? Like just bring it back when things start feeling like you're losing control or touch or whatever. It's just like, okay, why am I doing this? Why are these things important? It's not for the money. Like I want to be financially free, not to have a lot of money. It's not just for that. I want to be able to support and help everyone that I care about in every way. If someone like one of the homies comes up like, hey, I'm struggling, or hey, I want to start anything, then I want to be able to help people out in that way, yeah, we don't have to go too far into that, but I mean, that's like, I love that. I love that.
I just thought it just reminded me of that because it's like, I feel like we've been circling this idea, and I think that encapsulates kind of like everything we've been talking about in like living a life that you'll find fulfilling. And it's like, well, what do you want to be remembered for? Start there, and then everything else will kind of click into place.
And just enjoy every day as best you can. I know it's fucking hard, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we went as always long. So we'll wrap it up with this one. I'm curious, like if anyone has like read these books or has any other ideas around this space. I mean, there's not a shortage of ideas here, but always looking for more ideas because all we can do is hopefully be pointed in the right direction and see what works best. So anyone out there who's got ideas or things we might have missed, we're all ears. Well, everyone, thank you all for getting through today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you took something away. And as you can tell, it gets me all really fired up to talk about these ideas because I just accumulate so much information from other podcasts, from other sources. And when I have a conversation like this with a good friend, I can let loose on what I've been thinking about and don't have an outlet to do that in normal conversation, really. And so with that, if you've made it all the way through here, you can consider, liking, subscribing, and doing all that stuff. But what I really would care about is if you have any feedback for us, because I really just want to keep getting better and better at what we do here. It would not be fitting for this podcast to be the never-ending project that is life. Well, Feeding Curiosity for me is that never-ending project in a different form. Until I'm no longer here, I want to be getting better at doing this. So if you enjoy what we do, please consider leaving a comment, heading over to the website at feedingcuriosity.net, or if you really, really like what we do, you can head over to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/feedingcuriosity, or you can head over to our Spotify page and support us directly. As always, thank you all for listening, and we will see you all in the next